Okay, welcome all to this channel. Okay, the purpose of this video is basically an information dump. Just in case somebody wanted to doubt and explain away and not even see as credible the information from my previous surname video here, I have more information that I wanted to present to you guys because you guys are the tactical intellectuals. So this is me sharing the wealth with everyone. Okay, so let's get into it.
Oh no. I say when we're done. I'm not leaving till I see the real you. Get up!
Okay, hey, the reason for my using this God of War clip, it's just me being lighthearted. This is something that I think of, like I say if a troll saw my previous videos and they still want to put down doubting comments or want to make response videos calling me a liar, delusional, Afrocentric, or whatever. That information is so strong that it kind of remind me of Thor, putting that death blow out, but then he's like, nah, I'm gonna bring you back because I got more. That's all it reminds me of right there. All right, let's proceed with the video. Okay, so these surnames right here are from the book Family Names from the Irish, Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Norman, and Scotch, considered in relation to their etymology, with brief remarks on the history and languages of the peoples to whom we are indebted for their origin, by Thomas G. Gentry. G is in George, and it's from 1843 to 1905. And just to let you know that this is legit, no AI or chat, whatever that is, messing things up and redoing it. This is presented to you from the libraries of the University of Toronto. It is a, what do they call it? It was digitized and Internet Archive. Okay, it's legit here. Blake, black, black, of like parentage. Bronson, brown, from brim, brown, and son or son, son of brown. Broivning, broivn, brown, descendant, descendant of brown. Deaver, originally dweeber or dweeber, from dub, black, man, a dark complexioned man. Go down to Devlin, dub, black, a marsh, swamp. Okay, Donald, from brown, stranger, brown haired stranger. Doyulsul, Doin, possibly Dongal, from Don, brown, and Gaul, stranger, brown haired stranger. Douglas, from black, dark, glass, green, gray, dark, green, dark, gray. De Gaul, from dub, black, Gaul, a stranger, a black stranger. Dugald, from the same roots. Duff, pronounced hib or dove, black. Duffy, dub, black. Car, an individual, a black person. Okay, now check out Dungan right there, and then especially Duncan, spelled like that. It's spelled just, it's pronounced just like that. Duncan. Duncan. That's definitely one to look out for. Okay, so I know that you guys have seen dub and is many different variations, forms, and different allusions and such, but here's the other side of the coin right here. This is Well, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and read it, and you'll pick up the distinction. Okay, Finbov. Now that word right here, Fionn, you can pronounce it one or, well, it's two ways. It's either Fin or the more logical and practical Fionn. That's Fionn. Okay, now this one it says Finbov, Fionn or Fin, pronounced Jin, fair, white, summit, head, a white summit. And then this one, Finilki or Finilsi. Okay, taken from Fionn, people. Okay, fair people. Fin-e, or is it Finne? Fionn or Fin, fair, white. Flynn, Fionn or Fin, white. A marsh, a swamp, in allusion doubtless to a summer array of white flowers. Flynn, the same word in slightly altered garb. So what do you guys think about that one? You have dub, and then the opposite is Fionn or Fin. Don't let them mess you up on that, especially when it comes to these black names. Don't let them tell you his hair and all that. Yeah, for that foolishness. Kieran from Kieran, from Kiar, black, and expressing personality and indicative of a noun derived from an adjective, a black person. Okay, look over to the right. Kieran, from Kieran, from Kiar, black, and implying person, a black person. Drop down. Kerwin, from Kiart Ban, a swarthy, black-haired person. Mac Kioyan, Mac Kiorain, genitive of Kioran, a dusky person, son of a dusky person. McAdam, Mac, son, Hebrew word Adam or Adam, a red or dark brown man. Soivden, Anglo-Norman, Soldan, from Moorish Soldan. Actually, I thought that was a E in Soivden, but that is a C, so disregard the pronunciation right there. Just look at the spelling and then see where it's from and then see what it means. Thank you. Swartly, swart, black. Lie, like, resembling black. Okay, so these sources that I have, they have very long titles. And this one is called The Scottish Nation, or the Surnames, Families, Literature, Honors, and Biographical History of the Peoples of Scotland, Volume D through F, and it's by William Anderson. Okay, let's get into it. Page 42, Dougal or Dougal, a surname derived from Dougal, the Gaelic for dark complexioned stranger, this being the same name given to the son of the famous Somerled, Lord of the Isle, who flourished in the 12th century, and the patronymic of his descendants, the clan MacDougall. Page 42, Douglas, the name of an ancient and once very powerful family in Scotland, long the rival of royalty. His origin is entirely unknown. Okay, skip down to where it says, okay, when the king inquired at his attendants to whom he owed his deliverance, the stranger was pointed out to him by one of them with the Gaelic words, Shoto Douglas, behold the dark man. Okay, so as you know from the other video and other content creators, they have spoken about this already. Douglas is a variant of dub. So, that means black, dark, swarthy, all of that. So this is just a confirmation or reaffirmation of that fact. Page 71, Duff, a surname adopted from the Celtic, in which language the word means black. Okay. Sebald, in his history of Fife, says that as Niger and Rufus were names of families amongst the Romans from the color and complexion of men, so it seems Duff was from the swarthy and black color of those of the tribe or clan of Macduff. Okay, so below there's more information on the family name right there. And then when you slide over to the right side of the page, it also has information on Duff, where it says King of Scotland, son of Malcolm the First. Okay, so we are going to look back into the book Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1. The chapter is chapter 9, page 161. And we're going to look at the bottom portion here. And I'm going to read and then I'm going to comment. Okay, and it says, but the traces of our black ancestry are visibly existent in 100 surnames. Some of these denote complexion, others do so but indirectly. The first class includes a great many. There are the clans Ruari and Dougal, spelt Dubgal, or black strangers, in their own genealogy. There are all the varieties of Dub, black in parentheses, such as Duff, Dow, Macduff, and others. There are Dons, Cars, and Dargs, with their equivalent Duns, Browns, Grays, and Blacks. All these are color names showing a black or tawny ancestor. So also is the name of Douglas, or going into 162, Douglas, literally black swarthy, and that of Murray with its kindred forms of Moor, and okay, I don't know what that is, etc. I guess, but these only where the original name did not signify De Moravia, whether in Latin or in Gaelic. Such are the kind of names that directly point to a descent from the Moors. Of those that do so indirectly, nothing needs to be said here. But in saying this, it is not meant that such names nowadays necessarily indicate that the bearers of them had one or more Pictish ancestors, because it is well known that the surname of the feudal superior was given in many cases to his vassals, though wholly unconnected by blood. Consequently, many of the unwilling followers of a black oppressor might transmit to their descendants a surname that denote a complexion vastly different from their own. Nor is it supposed either that a real descendant of a black or a Macduff must of necessity be found in the ranks of the dark whites. Okay, I'm gonna skip that part right there. Yeah, I know you guys see this, but yeah, let's skip that. Hold on. Regarding this part right here, they're talking about like the southern states. Okay, there. Okay, counted. Okay, the N word right there, of course. Okay, if you have, okay, an infusion of, okay, but we'll go back to that later. But here's the main point right here. When a man is 9/10 white or 9/10 black, he is white or black over anything else. But if a Negro ancestor of such a 9/10 white man had lived amidst a white population whose ideas with regard to nomenclature were as primitive as those of our ancestors 1,000 years ago, his offspring would have eventually become known by some such name as black or Negro used as a surname. Precisely the same thing has actually happened here. We know as a historical fact that a Niger Vel Dub has lived and reigned over certain black divisions of our island, and probably over white divisions also, and that a race known as the Sons of the Black succeeded him in history. But just as our hypothetical Octoroon family on the other side of the Atlantic might forever after continue to intermarry only with their white kindred, so might our British Octoroons have done likewise, with the result in either case that the far down posterity of the Negro or Moor would be so white that no ethnologist could detect the presence of any other blood, and yet in both cases the male descendants would bear the surname first given to their remote authors, a surname signifying quote unquote the black man. The fact is that most of our surnames are so old that while they argue with considerable force that this or that man is descended from such and such a race, they give us no help in finding out the predominating blood. Everyone, unless the child of cousins German, is possessed of 8 great grandparents, but the patronymic only shows the descent from one of them. The other 7 are wholly ignored, so that if one's pedigree is not complete enough to point out clearly and with authenticity a feature which, though the most important, is perhaps the oftenest disregarded, every line of the descent back to the days when each surname had a meaning, the genealogy is only of partial value in any argument of this kind. Nevertheless, the names exist, and with those of topography and of usage already quoted, and with many a record in written and oral history, they emphatically tell us of a large section of our ancestry whose complexion was black. Okay. Now the comments, I have to go back to this part right here. Okay, now they admit that, okay, he's saying our black. He's a British white guy, so he's looking at it from his vantage point. He's saying that our black ancestry, they're visibly existent in 100 names or surnames. I've already did that surname video, and you have names that mean black limbed or dark warrior or crow or raven, the black, the little dark one, and so on and so forth. But the point is that that corroborates what he's saying, so you can't really explain that away. And when you do hear information that's explained away, just come back to this and go back to what the surnames mean, and even the place names, and then even the etymology. So that's 3 or 4 ways that you can I guess cut a person who's trying to explain something away. And what I mean by cut is overwhelm them with facts and evidence. You have so much gravity to your facts and evidence that whatever they're saying just sounds crazy, ludicrous. Okay, now back to this. Okay, it says that, okay, he said that it includes a great many in regards to the black ancestry being visibly existent in the surnames. Then he gives the examples, of course: Dougal, Dubgal or Dubgal, black strangers, you already know. Dub, of course, Duff and all of that. And then he says that, okay, no matter what they say today in our contemporary times, about hair or eye or whatever, he's saying that all of these are color names and they're showing a black or tawny ancestor. Black, tawny, tawny's like brown or dark brown or brown. Okay, so, okay, we already know this. Douglas, okay, means swarthy, black swarthy. Same thing with Murray. which is a variant of more. Okay. Okay, so then this is another key point. Such are the kind of names that directly point to a descent from that tawny, that Moorish, that was it dark ancestor right there. So this is something that you can also use too. It is well known. Okay, hold on. Let me go to the page 162 right here. Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1. Okay, he says that, okay, it's well known that the surname of the feudal superior was given. Okay, so that's the head right there. Okay, and then he say, in many cases, the vassals, those who are like under him, even if those are unconnected by blood, they, okay, so he may transmit to the descendants a surname that was a complexion surname, you know, a surname that denoted a complexion different than their own. So this is kind of where the whole narrative is crazy. How can I explain it? You know, what actually this is like projection. What actually happened to them, they're putting on to us. They're trying to flip it back on us, man. You know, when they say that these you know, your name, your first name, or even last, they're more specifically talking about the last name that you have in the Americas. They're saying that that's your oppressor's last name. Well, I mean, they're trying to just flip it. This is like centuries later. I mean, the angst that you have to feel when you know, okay, say if you like a white person and you got the last name Doyle or Douglas. I mean, you already know what that means, or Brown or something, or Stewart, and all of that stuff. I mean, you're trying to flip it back onto the person. It's all psychological, man. Okay, now this is a good one right here. Okay. Oh yeah, this is what he's saying right here. Okay, when a man is 9/10 white or 9/10 black, you know, in this country he's either one or the other before anything else. Now, this is the point. If a Negro ancestor of such a 9/10 white man had lived amidst a white population whose ideas with regard to nomenclature were you know, very primitive, you know, 1,000 years ago. Okay, so all right, let's pause for a minute. Okay, so if you had a brother living in like a white town or whatever, you know, 1,000 years ago, okay, so, and he had children, so what would he be known as? Okay, that man had a, you know, a sister or a quote unquote black wife, and he produced a black child. He's in a, you know, very white area. So what would those, he wouldn't call himself that, but, well, eventually he would, but what would other people call him? They'd be like, oh, this is James. Okay, James, oh, his complexion is dark. Okay, what means dark in my language? Dub. You know, so they call him James Duffy or Douglas or a variant of it. Okay, that's like, it's the first generation. Now the second generation, he'll call himself that too. You know, it'll become common. You know, these color names, they will eventually become common, but that wasn't really put on them. You know, they didn't come up with that on their own. It was other people associating them with that, so then it just stuck eventually. You know, if that makes any sense. Okay, it says that. Okay, where am I now? Okay, it said that the offspring would eventually become known by some such name as black or Negro, used as a surname. So that's what happened in the UK right there, and in Europe, to be honest. Okay, and then they use a historical example. Okay, we know that as a historical fact that Niger Vale Dub has lived and he reigned over certain black divisions and white divisions. We're gonna get over that. We're gonna go over that later on in another video on down the line, where it says that okay, and probably no, they did. There's no and probably they did reign over white divisions as well as their own, and that race was known as the Sons of the Black. Okay, and then they come up with the example here, just as the hypothetical Octoroon family on the other side of the Atlantic might he might eventually intermarry with the white kindred surrounding him. That's what happened in the UK. You know, those Octoroons, they intermarried, and okay, so that name stuck. Okay, so you eventually you just keep doing that and you become what, genetically, I mean, you're white now, but you have that name, that token right there in the form of a surname that points to an ancestor who was not of your kindred, so to speak. Okay. Now, it goes into say that most of our surnames are so old that while they argue with considerable force, that this or that man descended from so and so, they really don't help you to find out what predominating blood you have flowing through your veins. So it says that so it's talking about that Octoroon again, the great grandparents. It says that the other 7 are wholly ignored. If one's pedigree is incomplete, but then it just gets to the main points. Nevertheless, the names exist. And with many, here we go. With many a record in written and oral history, they emphatically tell us of a large section of our ancestry. I say our, but it's them, their ancestry, whose complexion was black. So here's the article that I wanted to highlight to you guys. This is Dr. Caitlin R. Green, Authorania, the historicity and historicization of author. And my reason for doing this is just showing that link between the author name and the black color. As you see right here, this is a legit article. I'm just showing some other pieces of it right there. The website is up here. It is a UK website, I think. I'm sure it is. But here's the main point right here. It's talking about the origins of author. So, you see this bibliography and further reading. Nah, we're not gonna look below that. Look just above it right there. We're gonna check out that paragraph right here. Now we're just gonna skim over some of these parts. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but just check out like the first sentence right there. They're talking about like mythological origins for author that have been proposed. And then they're saying it deserves re-examination. So now right, here we go. It says the intriguing, here we go. 1, 2. See where it says and the intriguing evidence for a folkloric belief that author is a crow, raven, or a Cornish chough, a red-legged crow. Okay, so there's that association again, because I think it's like Melanie or Cormac or some of these other names. It means like crow and everything. That's that complexion correlation right there. Complexion, because crows and ravens are dark, so they made that association between the animal and the person's complexion. So this is what they're doing with author also. So okay, so again, a folkloric belief that author is a crow, raven, or a Cornish chough. Okay, what's the next point? Okay, so the main point. Okay, it says here that Gordor used to entice down black ravens in front of the wall of the fortified town, though he was no author, and the possible derivation of author's name from was it Ardu, which means very black. Okay, so it says, okay, right here we go. So that I'm not just saying it. It says it in this article right here. The connection with the crow, raven, chough may have a more plausible explanation than this. However, okay, so they're saying that caution must once more be urged. Okay, just as an almost infinite number of historical prototypes for author can be identified with enough enthusiasm, it seems very likely that a similar number of mythical prototypes can also be identified, and as such, the methodological comments made with regards to the identification of historical authors must be applied to this problem also. But just so you guys know, we're not just making this stuff up out of nowhere. When it comes to the etymology, the surname, first name, definitely the place names, and also this author name right here. We're not just making this stuff up, because it's a popular trend to just call someone Afrocentric if they don't go along with the narrative. I mean, we have an abundance, a mountain of evidence that supports our claim, and that's what it's about, right? Facts and evidence, not indoctrination. So, let's do the right thing, man. Let's play by the rules, man. I mean, you can't go out of bounds and then shoot a 3 and have it count. You have to be in bounds and shoot the 3 and then it counts. Okay, that's about it. That's all I have right here. Thanks for listening to this presentation. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell other people about it also, and you guys be safe. You take this information in and you make it your own, and you put your own spin on it, and you can present it how you want to. Teach it to your children, teach it to your family. Let's change this thing, man. Let's make it right. All right, guys, take care, and again, be safe.